Hi and welcome to the Quinta, and as you may be able to see from behind me, I've got a slightly depleted wood pile because this is part 2 of me creating the composting lavatory and shower block. So let's go and have a look at that. There's going to be some framing today. So if you haven't seen the first episode, it's linked up there, and I poured this rather cat footprinted base. So by all means go and check that out quickly now. It might make a little bit more sense what we're up to. As I mentioned in the previous video, the whole point of this build is to provide a nice space where visitors, friends, workaways, whoever they might be, to have a shower and to use the lavatory, have sanitation in effect, without needing to come into the house. We have found that it can be a little bit wearing to have people coming in at all times of day just to use the lavatory, and this is going to be a game changer. This then is my cut list, and this should be all that I need to put up the walls. It's going to be higher at the back, and then it's going to be the same around the front and the sides. Hopefully that'll become fairly apparent as I go through it. I've marked out nominally 50 centres, and I've pre-drilled so that I can nail it together just with a little bit more ease. And broadly, if you are building a stud wall in your house, this is exactly the same process that you're going to be going through. So hopefully if you're going for a bit of DIY, this might be a little bit useful as well. Anyway, let's get on with assembling the frames. I'm actually using nails this time instead of screws. There's a couple of reasons behind that. Nails, when they're subjected to shear forces, bend rather than snapping, and that's just annoying when you're trying to put things together. They're a little bit more resistant. Also, they're a little bit cheaper, so yeah, not bad. For framing wood, for building a stud wall, nails really are, in my opinion, the better option. Screws are great, however, because they pull things together, which nails don't. So some applications you certainly do want screws.
So I set out the timbers according to the lines, and then I use one of the blue straps, which actually normally lives in the truck, to pull everything together, and that really is helpful because I don't have any frame clamps.
These lined up and then pull the strap tight. Okay, so these are 4.5mm nails, and actually drilled a 4mm hole so that there was something for them to bite into. You'll notice that every one of the points where I'm putting in one of the 2x4s or 4x2s, depending on what country you're watching in, what I've done is I've marked exactly where I want the piece of wood to come in. I'll put a little cross to make it easier to see, and I've drilled a couple of pilot holes for the nails to go into. That prevents splitting. That also makes it a lot easier to drive them in.
שיער ארוך שחור בשחור, מבט עינה כטל טהור, אורה לבן והיא כולה תפילה אשר הלב צמא לה.
So I can't stress how useful it is to mark everything out. If you don't have lines that you can reliably tock things up to, you're going to have to be measuring and measuring and measuring again, and it's going to make this a very, very much longer process. Because these bits are floating in mid-air, I'm going to have a problem. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp some offcuts of timber underneath where I put the marks, and that is going to allow me to put in the, well, looks horizontal, there's actually a vertical piece of timber, and then strap it together. Now, of course, it's not necessarily convention that you're going to build these things on the ground and stand them up, but I find that if you can do that, it does make it easier. However, as a little aside, if you are making them in the vertical position where they're actually going to be, it's better to drill, I'll show you here, a pilot hole down like this, and then spike through the timber like that, and then do it the other side as well, so that you're holding it in position. You do tend to find it moves a little bit more if you do it that way though. Right, let's get these stood up.
תם הלילה, תם לתוך האור, נופל ירח, יותר מדי שיכור, שם למעלה, כמו תינוק טהור, אתה
Once it's all nicely positioned over the base, I clamp it together and put in a few nails.
בי מתפוררת האימה, כמה ענוגו, כמה
It's then a question of fixing it down to the base, and so I'd drill some pilot holes and then nail it down.
אש חמה שלי, את נשרפת בכאב שלך לבד, כמה ענוגו, כמה ענוג.
Little note on corners. If you were doing this in your house, you would actually put an extra 2x4 on there, so the corner would be made up of 3. That gives it just a little bit of extra strength. Not necessary in this application, but good practice if you are building a timber framed house.
So I just carry on lifting the frames into position, clamping them up and nailing them together.
שלא נגמרת, נעלם שלא יראו.
I haven't given myself the best angle, being right-handed.
כולם אור, כמה ענוגו, כמה ענוג, כמה ענוג העולם, כמה ענוגו, כמה ענוג, כמה ענוג האור שלך, כמה ענוגו, כמה ענוג, בי מתפוררת האימה, כמה ענוגו, כמה ענוג, בי מתעוררת אהבה.
It's still a little bit wibbly wobbly because I haven't put the roof on, and I'm going to have another 2 vertical beams, whatever you want to call them, going in there so that I can hang the door. But I haven't yet measured the door, or alternatively made it. Another thing I forgot to say I haven't put in yet is the noggins, which is sort of bracing. So again, that's another reason why it's a little bit wibbly wobbly. So, not too bad. I think that that probably took me a little bit longer than the pergola did, just because I had to do a lot more cutting. So, join me in the next video. We'll put the roof on, do the door, and start building up the loo, which is going to go down this end, and all will be nicely boxed in. Obviously, you'll have a door, and then we have a shower, but stay tuned because I've got special ideas for that. So, as ever, I'd like to thank you very much indeed for watching. The next video will do the roof, so that's going to be cutting birds' mouths, and I thought they were called beaks. Anyway, if you wouldn't mind hitting like and subscribe, it really does help the algorithm, and if you hit the bell icon, then you'll get a notification when I next release a video. And if you'd like even more stuff, then you can join and become a channel member and follow the lead of brilliant other people who have done so. Thank you so much for your support, however you are coming along on the journey. Take care, see you next time.